Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over what to buy and what to avoid this week in Grand Theft Auto Online. If you're not subscribed to my channel, you should definitely consider doing so because a lot of you guys seem to watch, but not a lot of you guys seem to sub. So if you watch my content already, consider subscribing, please, at the very least. Leave a like if you enjoy the video, dislike if you don't, of course. And of course, getting started with the vehicle sitting right here behind me. And of course, it is the Buckingham weaponized Canada, which is a relatively new helicopter in GTA Online, but unfortunately not a very good one. However, this week it is discounted, so it's kind of a toss-up as to whether or not you should buy it, and I honestly am a little bit conflicted as to what to recommend. We're going to talk about it a little bit more later, but I wanted to just start off with that, of course. Now, before we get into anything else, we got to talk about how to make some money this week in GTA Online, and we have a significantly worse week than last week, because last week is like one of the best weeks that we ever get in GTA Online when it's, you know, double money on CEO cargo. But this week we do have some bonuses. They're just not that amazing. Now, the first of the bonuses this week are triple money and triple RP on associate and bodyguard salaries. So that's like when you're in someone else's CEO and you get paid like 10 grand every 15 minutes. Now you're gonna get paid 30. So it's not really that awesome, but I guess it's better than nothing. It's you know, it's something, I guess, for sure. Now we also do 2 times money and RP on standard and most wanted bounty targets within the bail office business. So for those of you that have a bail office, this week it's, well, twice as worth doing as it normally is, which is to say it's almost worth doing. So standard targets this week are going to be going for just under $80,000 a piece, and the most wanted target is going to be going for like $240,000 every time, which is once per real life day. So you can definitely make some money with the bail enforcement business this week. It's just like, it's still, even on double money, this business feels like a bit of a chore to actually want to do it. But nonetheless, it is double money and double RP for the remainder of this week. So naturally, what I would recommend you to do is grind CEO cargo, even though it's not on bonus money. But I honestly, after last week, I'm pretty convinced it's the best way to make money in this entire game. But that might just be me. Now, we do have one more bonus money activity this week, and it is, of course, Hunting Pack Remix. Hunting Pack Remix is a pretty fun adversary mode. It's kind of just like the manhunts that me and my friends do every week. If you're unfamiliar with those, you should definitely go check them out. But basically, one team is trying to get their guy to the end, and the other team is trying to stop them in significantly better vehicles. It's honestly a lot of fun, and I would definitely recommend trying it out if you never have before. It's a pretty good time, and for, you know, double money and double RP, you can't really go wrong to at least try it once, maybe. Now, next up, of course, to get started with some discounts on elitist travel, we're going to start here. We have the regular Buckingham Canada discounted this week. This is not the weaponized variant. It is also discounted, but it's on Warstock. Now, the regular Canada is actually one of the fastest helis in the game. In fact, it is the fastest heli in the entire game. It's very good, whether it's turning, whether it's straight line speed. It's really good at both of those two things. Other than that, it's not really too special. It doesn't have any armaments unless you buy the weaponized variant of it, obviously. For just over 1.1 million, you kind of could buy it because it is fast, so it's got that utility to it. But beyond that, there's not really a good reason to purchase the Canada, honestly. It is very, very quick, but I think for $1.1 million, I don't know, I just feel like you could use that money better elsewhere. But if you do want to get around as efficiently as possible, the Canada is one of the best ways to do that. But I will just warn you that I do not believe that the CEO office nor the agency or any of these businesses will offer the Canada as one of the vehicles that you can leave with. Now, I could be mistaken on that, but I am quite confident that that is not a thing you can do with the Canada. So definitely keep that in mind and take that into consideration if that's something that you would be considering buying it for. We also have the Seabreeze discounted this week by 30% off. Now, the Canada is 40% off, the Seabreeze is 30% off. For $791,000, if you don't have the trade price, it's interesting, and for $595,000 with the trade price, it is more interesting. This thing, you can fly directly at the ocean, and it will go into it, and it will bounce back up and come out of the ocean. It's pretty cool in that regard. It is also armable. You can put machine guns on the front of it, which is pretty cool. And for certain missions, this thing could actually be semi-useful, like the CEO cargo mission where you're sourcing at sea for example, it could be good for that. Beyond that, the Seabreeze is kind of a fun plane to fly, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's any better than some of the other planes in GTA Online, like the Raju, Hydra, Laser, any other armed jet, really. So it's pretty much your call. For 800k, I think you could buy it or whatever. If you have the trade price by some miracle, it is definitely a lot more worth buying. This is one that I would say if you do want it, you should buy it right now because obviously it's discounted. But if you're kind of on the fence about it or you don't want it, you should definitely just not buy it at all. That's what I would say. Now we have yet another discount on Elitist Travel, and that is on the Bezra. And the Bezra is a vehicle that I would absolutely not recommend purchasing. It looks like a fighter jet. It looks like it'd probably be pretty awesome, but it is completely unarmed. It has nothing that it can do to output any sort of damage. The Bezra is one that I would avoid this week entirely because it's discounted, but the $805,000 is going to what is essentially a fast unarmed plane. And there are so many of those in GTA Online, and you can always go to the airport and get a Luxor. Granted, the Luxor will not be as fast as the Bezra, but it's fast enough, especially for free in comparison to $805,000. So please do not buy a Bezra this week. Now over on Legendary Motorsport, we have two discounts in the two-door section, and those are going to be on the Pegasi Reaper as well as the Pegasi Osiris. These things are both similarly priced, I would say, and one of them is significantly better than the other. I'll give you a second to guess which one that is. It's the Osiris. The Osiris is way, way better than the Pegasi Reaper. Now the Reaper is kind of interesting looking. It is based off of the Lykan Hypersport in real life, which is a interesting car. Unfortunately, it has absolutely no customization except for a spoiler option that does not fit anything else on the vehicle. So it does look pretty ugly with that spoiler option on, I would say. And also another thing that makes me mad about the Reaper is that for some reason this portion of the windshield is a different color than the rest of the strut there and the roof and everything else. Very infuriating. I personally would say to avoid the Reaper. I don't think that you're going to get the performance that you should be getting for $1.1 million out of this car. With that being said, it's not the most horrible performing car ever. It handles pretty decently. It is rear-wheel drive only though, which is something to keep in mind for sure. And the top speed is okay, the acceleration's okay, the launch off the line is going to be a little bit weaker. It is kind of a cool car. This is one that if you're kind of on the fence about it, you might want to consider purchasing it. If you're going to purchase it in the future anyways, now is a good time to do it. Who knows when this thing's going to go on sale again. But for the vast majority of people, I would definitely recommend to purchase the Osiris before purchasing the Reaper, because the Osiris is like the Reaper, but pretty much better in every single way. It has all-wheel drive, it has a significant amount of customization, not the best customization ever, but still quite a bit. It is also 40% off this week, which is a pretty good discount, and I definitely think that this one is a lot more worth purchasing than the Reaper. Just purely looks-wise, I think it's better. Performance-wise, it is definitely better. It has a much better acceleration, a higher top speed, a better launch, better handling, all-wheel drive, and way more customization. You can't go wrong with an Osiris this week. This is one that I would recommend picking up for just under 1.2 mil. You can't really go wrong with it for that price. And finally, for the discounts on the websites, we are finishing on Warstock with the weaponized Kanata. This thing's 40% off this week. Like I said right at the start of the video, I'm pretty torn about this vehicle because for a little bit less than this, you can get the Buzzard attack chopper, which does kind of outperform the Kanata in terms of damage output because it has significantly better machine guns, and the Kanata's missiles are pretty much identical to the Buzzard's. It is a lot faster than the Buzzard, but it does miss out on those machine guns that the Buzzard has, which are the most damage outputting machine guns in the entire game. So it really depends what you're looking for. The Kanata, though, unfortunately as well, despite being customizable and everything like that, it does not have any sort of armor like the Akula or like the FH1 Hunter do, for example, where they can take a few homing rockets. This thing will die really, really quickly, which is also unfortunate, and it is quite expensive to upgrade as well. So that is definitely something you should keep in mind. The Kanata is interesting. I just really don't know if I can recommend it for just over 2 mil, especially when the Buzzard exists for, $1.75 million. It's a pretty hard sell for me. It is fast. It does have that on its side. It does have, the machine guns as well, even though they're way worse than the Buzzard, but it is faster. So it's really a toss up between the Kanata discounted, the Sparrow and the Buzzard were kind of spoiled for choice. Now at regular price, of course, the Canada is absolutely not worth purchasing because it's nearly double the price of the Buzzard, and also nearly double the price of the Sparrow as well. So the Canada is one that, while it's discounted, if you're gonna buy it at some point, now is definitely the time to do so. But I still don't know that I fully recommend doing it for over $2 million. And we have another discount on Warstock here with the RCV. This thing is entirely useless. Please do not buy it. This was our only option to own anything sort of police oriented in GTA Online for a very long time. It does have functional lights and sirens and a water cannon on the top of it, but it does need to be stored within your facility. That is the only place that you can store it, which is something that is important to note. It's cool, but for 1.4 million and $2,350,000 regularly, this thing is absolutely not worth purchasing. And last but certainly not least, we have the Savage helicopter. This thing is insane. It does have the pre-nerf cannon on it, which is the same as what the Hydra and lasers cannons used to be, where it is just a constant rain of fire of explosive rounds that just shreds everything. Now, granted, it does have much shorter range than the laser and the Hydra, but it does still output that same amount of damage, albeit the Savage is a very clunky and heavy feeling helicopter, but it is pretty good, and for just under $1.2 million, I don't really see a way that you can go wrong with buying the Savage right now. For that price, this thing is kind of insanely good. It does have a little tiny bit of armor as well. It could take one homing missile and stay in the air. The second one will likely finish it off, but occasionally it can survive for a few more seconds. But a third shot will definitely take it out permanently. Still, really cool helicopter. This is one that I would recommend you to buy this week. Okay, and now that we're done on the websites, it's finally time to go to the casino and the car meet and all the dealerships. So let's go handle that right now. Starting off within the casino, we have the Truffaut Nero available to be won this week. This is a pretty awesome car. It's definitely really good. For $1,440,000 regularly to purchase it, trying to get it for free would definitely be an awesome idea. If you can win it, I mean, you should definitely try to. Good luck. Within the LS car meet, we have the Obey I-Wagon available to be won this week, and in order to win it, you're gonna have to place first for 3 days in a row. Now, I personally wouldn't give you a single dime for the Obey I-Wagon, and for winning 3 races for 3 days in a row, winning 1 race one day and then doing that for 3 days in a row, yeah, I definitely wouldn't say I would do it. It's an electric SUV in GTA, which means it has a weak ass top speed, really insane acceleration, but also terrible handling, and also the customization is quite mid for this vehicle. Overall, I would say please avoid it for the love of God. And within the car meet, we have 3 removed vehicles. Starting off on the left, we have the Bravado Buffalo S. This is of course what Franklin drives in the campaign. This thing goes for $95,000, I do believe it is. 96, damn, I was off by 1,000. It's pretty cool. It's got some nice customization. Beyond that, it's not the greatest car ever, but the performance will actually shock you, and interestingly enough, it's actually within the sports category. It's not a muscle car, which is quite strange. For 96K, yeah, you can't go wrong. Please buy one. In the middle here, we got the Grotti Stinger GT. This thing goes for, I believe it's in the like uppers. Yeah, wow, it's more than I thought. $875,000. It's got no customization. That is this car's biggest downfall. Absolutely nothing you can do to it, which is a huge shame. It is a pretty cool car and it is removed, but for 875 grand, I don't think it's really justifiable unless you have so much extra money. And if you do, please buy one. It's a cool car. It's fun to drive. But if you're, looking for what you should actually buy in GTA next, if you don't have all the businesses or all the cars you need and everything, this is definitely not one you should buy. However, we do have the Annis RE7B right here, which is one of the faster supercars to this day in GTA Online, and it's also discounted this week by 40% off. For $1,485,000, this thing is kind of similar to the Benefactor LM87 in a lot of ways. It just has a little bit worse downforce and is slightly worse in all corners, but particularly at low speed. Other than that though, it's super quick. It just doesn't have the LM87 speed glitch, which is unfortunate. but it still is a pretty quick car. It's pretty fast. For stunt racing, it's awesome. For regular supercar racing, it's awesome. For just getting around, it's pretty awesome. The RE7B is a cool one. Unfortunately, though, all it has to offer for customization are, I do believe, this livery, one other livery, no livery, as well as, I think, 2 spoiler options, which is unfortunate. Still a really cool car for $1,485,000. I don't necessarily know that I can fully recommend it, but if you like race cars and things like that, I would say it is worth picking up, and it is, of course, also removed. Within Simeon's dealership, we have a bunch of removed vehicles in here. Starting off in the corner, we have the Ocelot Swinger. This thing is also discounted by 30% off this week, and it is one of the faster sports classic cars in the game. It's going for $660,000, and for that price, I really don't see how you can go wrong with purchasing this thing. Pretty awesome car. Decent little customization options that you can do to it, and really good performance in the sports classic category. What's not to like about it? I would definitely say to purchase this one. We also have the Lampadati Viserys right here. This thing's really cool. It's got a lot of great customization, and it is not discounted, unfortunately, but it's going for $875,000, which is the same price as the Grotti Stinger GT. For that same price, the Viserys is a much better car, just purely in terms of customization. Also, driving it though, you will find that it does have better performance despite also having engine resistance. Still, really cool car. I would definitely recommend this one for sure. It is also, of course, completely removed, so that is another bonus with it. Next up, we have the Shyster Deviant. This thing's interesting. Not the best customization ever, not the best looking car either. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm personally leaning towards the sort of don't love it too much side, but it is still a pretty cool car for $533,000. I don't know that I can recommend it. It doesn't have enough customization or performance for me for that price, but it is still relatively cheap. So if you are even remotely interested in it, you could purchase it, and of course it's removed, so who knows when it's going to be available again. Next up, we have the Dubocci Massacro for $275,000. Now, the only issue that you will face with this car is a little bit of understeer. That's the only problem. Customization-wise, though, it's absolutely awesome, and in every other metric, it's great. It looks absolutely incredible. This is one of the older DLC cars in GTA. I think this was added in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, and it still looks this good. The Massacro is definitely one that I would recommend buying for sure. For $275K, you just simply can't go wrong with it. And of course, last but not least, we have the LCC Avarice. How much is this thing going for? $142,000. It is removed, I do believe, and it has kind of a cool livery on it, which is interesting. For that price, yeah, maybe buy it. I don't know. I'm not super into bikes, guys. I'm not going to lie, but it looks cool. So for that, I'll say, yeah, maybe purchase it. Shockingly, Luxury Autos is garbage. We got the Declasse Yosemite 1500 in here, as well as the Vapid Dominator GT. So yeah, we're back to it, guys. We're back to it. Within the Chop Shop this week, these are the vehicles that are available to be stolen. For the Benefactor SM722, you will have to complete the Duggan Robbery. For the Tailgater S, you're going to need to complete the Podium Robbery, and for the Dinka Segoy, you will need to complete the Gangbanger Robbery, and unfortunately, none of these vehicles are claimable this week. And of course, last but not least, we got the Time Trials. Your RC Bandito time trial for today is Cypress Flats. Your Junk Energy time trial is, of course, Mirror Park. Your regular time trial is End to End. And your HSW time trial is Terminal to Mount Chiliad. Anyway, guys, there you have it. That has been it for what to buy and what to avoid this week in Grand Theft Auto Online. If you guys enjoyed the video, if you learned something, a like is, of course, appreciated. If not, dislike. Consider subscribing to my channel if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next one. Until then, take care. Peace.